Welcome to Selfish Confidence, a place where we can connect and be real about how hard it is to be your damn self. My name is Jess, and my goal is to help you build confidence and belief in yourself to live any life path you want, even if it's unconventional. It's time to flip off societal pressures and connect with women who've also felt on the outside by their life choices. We're here to encourage you to grab the mic and speak your truth. I know it can be scary, but we're in this together. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Selfish Confidence Podcast. It's Jess here, and I am buzzing with energy tonight, and I don't know what it is because I didn't have any caffeine. I put the baby down, and I came down to my office, and I'm just feeling it. I must have a message that I need to share with you tonight. So I am sitting here. I'm going to create a little visual for you. So I got my cup of peppermint tea. I've pulled some cards. I got a candle going, and I sat down to record a message that I have been thinking about all day. And then I got here and I looked at my vision board and I realized I didn't update it yet. And we're in the middle of January. And I say, whatever, it's not a big deal. Most of the things on there are still what I want to do. So let's just leave it. But I just had to. I don't know what it was. I had to change just a couple of things, like update a couple different dates and update the word of the year. And I just could not sit down and record this episode until I've done that. I don't know what it is in the air tonight, but it's just, I don't know. Something feels different about this year. And maybe you're listening to this and you're like, Jess, no, let's not be optimistic here. Take it down a notch. But I don't know. I think it's because also last year being pregnant, I know I talked about this last week, the energy was very different going into the new year. And I've talked to a few of my very good friends who are kind of facing that this year. And it's just I can't set the same kind of goals because, I'm expecting a baby and I don't know what life's going to look like. And all I can say to them is just expect the best year of your life. And I know it has ups and downs. We all know I've got my glitter goggles on all of the time, but I like life better that way. And as I sat down this year and I looked at that vision board just right now, I was like, you know what? I can update a few of those things because the energy feels different this year. I have a better understanding and a better look on what life might look like because, I have an almost 1-year-old now, which blows my mind. And I can just visualize life with a child very differently than I could last year. I had no idea what I was walking into. And so it just feels very different. And this isn't a whole episode about, my beautiful energy that I'm feeling right now, but I did have this concept that I really wanted to share with you. And it's all about Human Design New Year. We often hear about, January 1st, that big New Year celebration that we all have, right? Calendar New Year with the big fireworks and the big parties and the kisses and all of the things, right? And we often hear about Chinese New Year, right? This year coming up is the year of the horse. And last year was the snake. And we celebrate Chinese New Year and understand it a bit more. But this was the first year that I ever heard of the concept of Human Design New Year and the timing of that and some of the things that we can reflect on in this time that is going to help us to set us up for success when it comes to the Human Design New Year. And it blew my mind. I'm like, of course, there's some kind of Human Design New Year, duh. But I never heard of it or never even thought about it before. And I've been really leaning into my human design a lot more. Last year, I spent a lot of time focusing on it, focusing on my own human design chart, seeing where there were some things that I could work on, some things that could help me to become a better parent, and also comparing it to my son's chart, which I know, kind of crazy. I didn't want to put this pressure on him to live up to some magnificent chart or, a life path of some kind based on his chart. But I really wanted to understand some ways to parent him in a different way that might help with his chart by just seeing some things that could be personality traits that might help him to develop better if I parented him in a certain way. And I use the word parenting loosely because he's under 1, okay? I really mean just make sure he doesn't boink his head on too many walls and, feed him in a really good way, whatever, right? But it's been really interesting this year to see how I have given him some guidance or given him some space and watched him thrive in different ways. And this has also been a really great tool that I have used with my partner over the last 5 years, because with Glenn, he is a manifesting generator, and with myself, I'm a projector. And if you are like, I don't know what you're talking about, Jess, human design's crazy, I'll put some different episodes in the show notes, but also send me a message. I'm happy to chat things out with you and give you a bit more insight. I'm not going to go into all of the nitty-gritty details because we've done that before, but these two different types are very different in society. And once we learned that, I really felt like it guided our relationship in a better way, because we could understand each other in a much deeper way than we ever could before. Even just through this parenting journey, like even just this weekend, right? Like Glenn's been playing some video games, and I don't want to be that naggy wife who's like, hey, put your video games down. He's a manifesting generator. He has hobbies, he has interests, he has things he needs to pursue in order to live a beautiful, abundant, and fulfilled life. And if that includes, going to play hockey on Sunday nights, which he does, or going mountain biking, or playing video games, or, experimenting with new things, or getting his hands dirty with changing the oil in the snowblower or something. I don't know what he's doing out there. But all of these things, these are things that are going to help him to light up our family. And it's so important that he pursues those. And so for me to see it differently than the typical wife to be like, oh my gosh, you're doing that again. Or really, you don't want to just come and spend time with us. Like he does. He's the most wonderful partner in the whole world. But that also comes with him pursuing the things that light him up. And the same thing goes for him understanding that myself and our son, who are both projectors, we're going to be a little bit slower. We're going to need a little bit more space in the morning and a little bit more time to sit and rest and read our books and relax a little bit more and get extra long naps and, just sit and watch out the window for a while. And I know often people see projectors as lazy or slow, but really we're just really efficient. And so for him to know that, it changes his view on who we are as human beings that are very different than what society has created for us. And it's been so fascinating to look at family through the lens of human design. And I've been doing that in the last year, not only with our family, but with friends, and looking at their charts and helping them to see their children and their partners in a really different light. And I've just been having fun with it and trying to take the pressure off of it being this big thing that I have always loved and enjoyed, but have been insecure about because I'm still new in this space. And I think that sometimes we forget that being a beginner, we have to be a beginner. We have to learn, we have to play, we have to grow, we have to see things. And it's just been really interesting to put some of that aside and have fun with it again. This is something I feel like I should have pursued a few years ago when I started to dabble into it. But because I wasn't like the experts, I let that shadow kind of pull me back. Because I'm not as good as them, then maybe I shouldn't be sharing my wisdom or sharing my thoughts or perspectives on things. And that's going to change, my sisters. That's going to change, because I think that this is the coolest tool, especially when it comes to confidence in yourself and knowing yourself, because it's literally on a blueprint right in front of you. Like I could print a chart off for you right now and give you a confidence boost in seeing some things that are there that are just like you might not see in yourself. And I just think it is like the coolest thing that like an instant confidence boost can come. And I get emotional as I think about it, because it's just like really, really special. You're really, really special. And we know that. But sometimes it also helps with that validation of seeing it on paper in front of us too. And the similarities that we have with each other, and the gifts that you have that can help to bring things to the world and bring things to my life, and the gifts that I have that can bring things to the world and bring things to your life. Like we are literally here to light up the collective by being our best selves and taking the pressure off of it having to be a certain way or how society thinks we should be. You just get to be you. And like, that's the most magical thing. That's the coolest thing about human design. Anyways, on that tangent, as I have been falling in love with this process and sharing it with people from a relationship perspective, from an individual perspective, from a business perspective, this concept of a human design new year was like this like light bulb moment I was on a call. If you have listened to the Day Luna podcast, I absolutely love their human design podcast. I have their book right here in front of me. It's just, they're wonderful. Dana and Shayna are just beautiful lights in this space and are making human design really easy for a lot of people. And I'm a part of their human design bestie community. And in this, we had a call that was like a Q&A call. They started the call talking about the human design new year and the gates that we are in that are helping us to do reflection before the new year comes. And so the human design new year actually starts on January 22nd. And this is when the sun enters gate 41. And this is this gate all about imagination and sparking new ideas and creativity and beauty and just like this beautiful exhale of like all of the wonderful things that are coming into the world. And why this is so important is that it gives us that little extra time in these first 3 weeks of January to reflect on some things that are going to help us lead us into the direction of a beautiful new year. And I also think that this might be why some of that energy with the beginning of the year, people kind of start their resolutions and their goals and their things, and they stumble a little bit because the energy isn't quite aligned yet. And we talked about this a little bit last week too, with it being winter. Like this time for us to slow down, this time for us to really just be at peace and almost heal from the busy season of the holidays. And this is giving us that extra time to do that. I know it's still January, it's still winter, but the reflection that I've been doing in the last couple weeks leading up to this new year has been really helpful in seeing what kind of gave me that icky feeling last year, what held me back a bit more last year, what would I change, and what would I want this year to look like. And I know we often do that with our January 1st new year and with our vision boards and all of these things. But this is a really great time, if you haven't done it yet, to be like, you know what? Human design new year. That's where we're at. And I'm going to take some time with that this week to sit and figure out what I'd want to come to fruition this year. And so I wanted to give you a few simple tips today on how to really harness this energy that we're in and sit with it in order to have that outcome that you're looking for. And first and foremost, if you are not in the human design space and you're like, I don't understand, I've dipped my toe or I've dabbled a little or I've heard your other podcast episodes, Jess, but I just don't get it. And when I look at that chart, it is terrifying. The first step is just to become a little more familiar, okay? And I'm not saying you got to go deep dive into it. I will put a couple episodes in the show notes that can help you to dip your toe in a little bit more, but get your chart. You can send me a message and I can help you to navigate finding your chart. You can also go to myhumandesign.com and get your chart there. Put in your birth information. You will need your time of birth, your birth date, and your place of birth, and it'll pop out a chart for you and you'll be like, oh, okay, I see something. I'm a generator or I'm a projector or, one of the 5 different types that we do have. And even just that surface level knowledge of understanding yourself with your type, your profile, and your authority, you will have a massive impact in understanding and seeing yourself in a beautiful light. Okay. So dip your toe in. That's the first step. If you're like, I don't know what you're talking about, Jess, just get your chart and then send me a DM and be like, Jess, I don't know what this means, okay? And I will help to give you a little bit of clarity. I love this stuff. I think it is fascinating and I'm happy to be able to support you and show you a few things to help dip your toes in and to see yourself differently. So that's the first step when it comes to this. The second is really to reflect on the last year. So some of these gates have already passed. The energies that are supporting, and you're like, what's a gate, Jess? There's different gifts, and as the sun turns into those, very similar to the zodiac sign, as planets kind of move, they help to shine that energy. You know that feeling when you're like, oh man, like this has been such a heavy week, and everything feels so chaotic and da-da-da-da. And then the person beside you on the bus is like, oh my gosh, yeah, me too. I'm feeling that too. And then the person, in the bank lineup also said the same thing. Like you're all feeling this energy. It really is essentially these gates and the planets that are aligning. I know I feel like a crazy person as talking about it, but it really is. We're all feeling these similar energies because there's themes for every single week of the year. Whether we're aware of them or not, there are themes, and these gates can help us to spend some time feeling those things and using them as a superpower. And so the last couple weeks have been all about really harnessing in on last year, what worked well, what didn't, but like what didn't feel right? What was something that popped up for you that just gave you that icky feeling that you wish you could change? And I could think of a couple things. I also feel like I blacked out for most of last year being a new parent. Like, truthfully, I don't know, unless I go through my camera roll, what even happened last year. But there is still some things that pop up as soon as I think about it. I'm like, you know what? This did not feel good. And I would like to change that going forward. So what experiences do you feel complete with that happened last year? And what are some different experiences that maybe you no longer feel aligned with? You no longer feel like it's a chapter of your story. I feel like last year we shed a lot of us. It's not just me. We were shedding last year with the year of the snake. We were getting rid of that. The 9 year, we talked about this too, like being all about endings. Like we have some endings, right? So what is no longer feeling aligned? What have you been chasing instead of responding to? What have you been lacking in guidance? Like think about all of these things that were of lack last year and that just no longer feel like you anymore. And I also think that this is really helpful, not even just from a spiritual and an energy space, but from a physical space. Like what in your house just like no longer feels like you? Maybe there's a painting that you've had in your bedroom and you're just like, it's just there to fill the hole on the wall, right? It's just there. It doesn't feel good to have it. It's just there. We got to get rid of some of that stuff, okay? Your house and the energy that's in some of these things, it's a great time to declutter. It's a great time to go through your books on your bookshelf and think like, I'm never going to read this again, and get rid of it. There is someone out there who would want to read that book. And I know, I've seen the videos. Their thrift stores are full of stuff. They are. So make sure you're also utilizing it to find some things for yourself too. But if there's something on your bookshelf that just doesn't feel aligned, we need to get rid of it. There is someone out there who could use it. I post books on my stories sometimes. You could do the same. Be like, hey, I'm getting rid of these books. Does anybody want them? And you'd be surprised who wants your stuff. Okay? Some people, what is it? One man's trash is another man's treasure? Yeah. And that really leads us into the energy and the focus of this week going forward. So we've thought about what we need to get rid of, what we would do differently. But this week, the energy, the collective energy of the world right now is really about putting that material world aside and focusing more on the mysteries of the spiritual realms. And I know, even as I say that out loud, I feel like a little bit of a crazy person, okay? But I also don't. You know, the amount of people who message me and they're like, I know you're going to love this, or I know you're into this, or I know you can connect with this, because I am one of those people who really leans into the woo. I trust and I believe that absolutely everything I'm doing is divinely guided. It just is. Like, how lucky are we? And also, how lucky am I to just believe it so naturally? And I know that that does not come as easily for everyone, but this week in particular, the energy is very much about just discovering the spiritual concepts that we're just feeling called to. And that doesn't mean it's one particular thing. It is just whatever is guiding you, whatever feels good for you to lean into. And as we're in this transit, as we're in this gate that kind of leans into the spiritual energies, it's this time to contemplate what is unseen, contemplate the mysteries of it all, like what feels, what can we connect to more in this world, and really organizing and rethinking our connection with spirit. This week is not about finding the answers and the outcomes to absolutely everything. And I know for some people who are deep in the human design world, if you have a defined crown or you have some gates in your crown, you're just like, I need to know the answers to all of these things. It's just not the time for that. What it is a time for us to enjoy the mysteries. It's not about finding answers. It's just about figuring out what we believe and what feels really good for us and playing with that. So like, what are some of life's mysteries that you feel really drawn to? I actually picked up this book at the library. I had it on hold once before and then I missed my window to go get it. And typically when that happens, I'm just like, oh, well, I don't have time to read anyway. And that's not true, okay? It's not true. It's the book The Light Between Us by Laura Lynn Jackson. It is all about these stories from heaven and lessons that she's lived through her own spiritual endeavors and through her own readings. And it is fascinating to me. And I remember even from a young age being very fascinated with books about angels and the spiritual world and being really connected to the church growing up and feeling really safe in that space. And it's something that for me has just always come naturally. So it's about like, what do you enjoy? And for you, it might not be any of those things that I just said, but like, what do you want to dip your toe in more? And what have you observed about the spiritual realms through your own experiences? What have you enjoyed reading about lately? Like, what lights you up? What content are you consuming that you're like, oh my gosh, like that is so cool, or that is so fascinating. I love this stuff. I love the spiritual world. I love trusting in, oh man, I'm going to tell you a story and you are going to think it's crazy, but you're probably not. You're probably not. We have this one toy. I got it on Facebook Marketplace and it's a walker. So we don't really use it as a walker because I don't feel super confident in my little guy's walking skills, okay? So we just keep it pushed up against the wall and he can use it to push the buttons and to play with things and kind of roll the little ball that's attached to it. It's great entertainment for him when I am trying to cook dinner or do something in the kitchen. And every once in a while, it plays on its own. And I always thought it was like a little weird. It can be sound activated and it can be motion activated because it is a walker. It's meant to be pushed and moved around, but for the most part, it stays in one spot. It doesn't get moved around a whole lot. And yeah, every once in a while, it sings its little song and nobody is there. And I just always have found it really comforting. Like a little creepy because you're like, that's weird, but it's comforting. And there's little things like that it's like those little signs, right? It's the same thing as for me finding a feather on the ground or a dime or, the flashing lights or whatever is your sign, a ladybug for me. Like those little things just tell me that I'm on the right path. So what is that little thing for you that just kind of gives you that flutter in your heart, that little bit of a feeling of hope? And again, it doesn't have to be big things. It doesn't have to be toys that sing without being touched in your house. It can be something really small, like, needing money for something and all of a sudden, somehow, it ends in your mailbox. And you're like, I don't know where this came from, but I'm trusting that it was gifted to me. Like little things like that, play with it, write it down, and lean into that spiritual gift of like, I am provided for. Everything's always working out for me. And what does that look like for me? And then next week, as we start to get ready to come closer to that Human Design New Year, we are looking into what we're shedding. What are we getting rid of? What beliefs do we need to let go of? And this isn't like a detailed journal prompt of like, these are all the things I'm releasing and I'm going to burn it with the full moon. No, like it's actually can be really creative ways of us releasing things. And maybe it's dabbling in painting a little bit more and seeing what feels really good, making some art or having a beautiful ritual that can help us to shed some of these things that we've been holding on to and maybe even holding on to for a really long time. One of the things for me when it came to human design was that permission slip that I'm different and that permission slip of just being like, oh, like this makes so much sense on why I can't keep up with the rest of the world or why I feel like I can't keep up with everyone or why I feel like I'm the black sheep a little bit more. Like it's such a permission slip. And once I saw that, it helped me to shed some of these beliefs and decondition some of these things that I've been telling myself for so long that I just wasn't good enough or that I couldn't get the job done or I didn't have enough energy. And I think it can be really helpful for us to release and let go of what's no longer serving us. And that's the energy that we're going into next week. So this week, if you're listening to this in real time, focus on that spiritual energy. What do I believe in? What feels good for me to believe in? What lights me up? What am I reading that feels really good? And then next week going into maybe releasing a bit more with meditation or some breath work or some movement that feels good for me, or even just sharing your story with people. I find this podcast one of the best ways for me to release some of these things, for me to almost have like a verbal journal out there in the world that you can connect with and you can interact with, but it helps me to process some of the things. And I'll tell you the truth, there are a lot of episodes that, not a lot, I shouldn't say that. There are some episodes that I would gladly go back and delete or erase from the world that have been almost like verbal journals for me. Because it's kind of what this podcast is, right? And I'm not going to go back and delete them. They're there for whoever wants to listen to them. I think they're not the best episodes. They're not the ones I'd be recommending, but they are a part of that process of releasing. So sometimes even just sharing your story with people, talking about the thing that might be holding you back a bit more so that it can be released through your voice is really, really helpful. And again, there are some things in your human design chart that when you look at it, you can start to see some of these best ways to shed, some of these best ways to release. Maybe it is through talking things out. Maybe it is through moving your body a bit more. Maybe it is through stimming or whatever it is. Like, you're going to find some of those hints in your chart. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to that confidence piece. You're like, oh, I could release it this way, or this feels really good, or this makes sense to me, that you might have not known or you might not see until you see it on paper in front of you. And I really don't want to overcomplicate this for you, because I think that, especially in the world we live in now with so much in front of us every single day, and if you are scrolling on social media and reading books and listening to podcasts, it's a lot of info all of the time. I don't want this to be complicated for you. I want this to be a simple process that you can sit down and you can start to navigate some things in your life and feel really good again, because that's what we need. Human design is all about you feeling good. And if you feel good, the rest of the world feels good. And then we're all just going to feel good. And I can see euphoria, right? Like, no, I know that that's not reality, but I do like the idea. And it is the truth. If you feel good and your energy is good, it's going to light up those around you. And that is going to change the world. Even if it's just those 5 people you spend the most time with, you having the right energy is going to change their lives. How cool is that? How cool is that? So if you have questions about your human design, please send me a DM. Again, I love chatting about this stuff. I am fascinated by it, and I'm really bringing that into more of my offers this year to help you to have that clarity through human design. And in a really simple and bite-sized way. Whenever I do my readings, it is through voice notes over a couple days to give you bite-sized chunks of your chart that you can listen to on the go and you can replay over and over. I have done a lot of readings with people that it's like a 90-minute sit-down session, and by the time we leave the session, I don't remember a single thing. So I have created a way to do readings that really feels good for me, that works with my energy, and also gives you the opportunity to re-listen to the messages, take them in bite-sized chunks, be able to go back to certain parts that feel like you're like, oh, what was that thing she said about my spleen? And you're like, oh yeah, here it is. Because I want it to be easy for you to get the information and activate it in your life. So if you have questions about a human design reading or anything in specific about your chart, please send me a message. I am really excited to finally step into my confidence in this space and help you to have more confidence in yourself through your beautiful human design chart. So I just love this stuff. I love it. I think it's amazing. So I can't wait to see what you bring to life in 2026 with the astrological new year, human design new year, Chinese new year, whatever you want to celebrate. Whatever you want to focus on and look at, I'm just so excited for you and the energy that's coming in this year. And if you are not feeling like this energized self like I might be right now, it's okay to reflect and look at things differently. I did things very differently last year with the new year, and taking that pause and slowing down really helped me to feel better a year later. And I know a year is a really long time, but it's also not. Imagine if you gave yourself grace for a whole year, how great you're going to feel next year. So it's okay to remember that if you don't want to focus on goals or anything, just place this in your heart to figure out what you believe in, what lights you up, and where can you give yourself some grace this year? Because I think we all deserve a little grace after the last couple of years we've been having. Am I right or am I right? I hope you have a wonderful week, and I love you so much.
What's up, sis? I am so glad we could hang out today. If you love this episode, send it to a friend or share it on your social media and tag me so I can personally thank you for helping me sprinkle some confidence in the world. And don't forget, you are magic. Let's show the world your shine.